Oh, welcome to Art Histor-Tea. I am your host. That is a threat, you parasite. Welcome. This is a series where I'm going to be talking about different things in art history that intrigue me in one way or another. Maybe a series, or maybe I'm going to do this one video and ditch this YouTube channel for the next 3 years. One or the other. Today we're going to be talking about the rivalry between Filippo Brunelleschi and Lorenzo Ghiberti. Now, if I pronounced either of those names wrong, make your peace now, because it's not changing, okay? And I wasn't going to look it up. It's the way my professor pronounced it, and he pronounces things fun, and sometimes wrong. Now, here's a disclaimer. I'm studying art history, but I am not an academic, okay? Look at me. You think I know things? So this is a story, okay? I am bound to get things wrong. Do not cite this. For the love of all that is good and holy, do not cite this. Don't come at me, either, because I am perhaps embellishing, perhaps getting things wrong. I Google translated a decent amount of this information, so Lord knows how correct any of this is. I'm also going off of my notes from my art history class, which I took last year, and I have bad handwriting. So guesswork at some points. Also, sometimes I didn't really pay attention, and I would just make things up. It happens to the best of us, alright? Do your own research. Links will be in the description of things that I did reference. I don't think I'm directly really referencing much, but I read things. I did do research. Just don't cite this, or your professors are gonna knife me. With that being said, stop using ChatGPT. Team Kendrick, let's begin. The year 1401. We've all heard of it. The competition was to make panels for the Florence Baptistry. One of these group guild things in Florence worked with the church and was like, hey, what if we put some shiny things on the doors? And the church was like, that sounds like a great plan, because what else do we have to do? Let's make a little competition. So the prompt was to make these panels, a depiction of Abraham sacrificing Isaac. 6 artists applied, and 2 came on top. If you know what I mean. Those 2 artists were Brunelleschi and Ghiberti, or Filippo and Lorenzo. I'm gonna go last names because they're more fun to say. This event is important for a multitude of reasons. 1, I think it's funny. The things that resulted from this competition are simply incredible. And 2, this kind of marks the beginning of the Renaissance. These 2 relief panels are a really good example of early Renaissance to like actual Renaissance art. So let's get into it. So first of all, we're gonna go to Brunelleschi's, because his is the more early Renaissance, doesn't really have your stereotypical Renaissance characteristics. In this, if you look at it, it's kind of like characters just placed on one flat background, right? They're not really interacting with their space. The kid is kind of noodly, right? That's important. And they just look like they're one flat thing. However, actually, this was made from 7 different panels, which is kind of crazy. Once we get into the next one, it's more impressive, right? There are some Renaissance characteristics. For example, the 2 servants are based on Hellenistic sculptures, which is a huge thing, like going back to the classicism era, like all that kind of stuff. Going back to antiquity, if you will, is a huge Renaissance thing. The next panel, Ghiberti's, is much more stereotypical Renaissance kind of situation. If you look, the characters are interacting with their space a lot more. There's that rock that's kind of diagonal. They're climbing on it. They're interacting with it. Isaac is depicted as a Roman male nude, which is like those super... he hits the fucking gym with the boys, lifting weights, drinking protein shakes type of shit. The Roman male nude, very strong, very muscular, doesn't look like a kid. The characters are really dynamic, there's a lot of emotion going on. And what's impressive about this, compared to Brunelleschi's work, is this was made from 1 panel. So when you would make it, you'd make a cast of it, and then you would piece them together. But this one was just made of 1, maybe 2. I think there might have been 1 piece that you had to like click into place. Also, the back of this one was hollowed out while Brunelleschi's was filled in. What had happened and how this all began was the church was like, These are both really good. Fuck the 4 other guys, though, apparently. You guys are tied. So, like, do you guys want to work together, or, like, what? This is where I need to make another disclaimer. I am biased, and to be fair, it's because of the amount of information that I had on hand. All of the information led to the fact that Brunelleschi was kind of a sassy little bitch, okay? And it's really funny. So, once again, this is a story. I'm going to be making a bit of a caricature out of both of them, okay? So let's get started. So, once the church was like, you guys are tied, do you want to work together? Brunelleschi was like, I would literally rather step on a rusty nail. I'm gonna quit sculpture forever because you have insulted me so much, and I am going to hang out with my boy Donatello. This is canon. This was in Brunelleschi's biography. They, like, didn't shower or whatever. I know that it was the Renaissance. They didn't, like, your modern kind of bathe. But the guy who wrote this biography, first of all, really revered Brunelleschi, so it's not like he was going in on this guy, but he's like, oh, they didn't really care about hygiene or women. They just kind of wanted to hang out and do architecture. So what I've gathered from that is he went to go hang out with Donatello in Rome to be musty and kiss with tongue. That's what Brunelleschi's up to, because he was insulted so much by being tied with Ghiberti, because he was like, I hate this man, for real, I want him dead. That was in 1402. In 1407, Ghiberti is legally commissioned to do the doors. He works on those. He's doing a lot of stuff, right? He's a busy bee. Fast forward 10 years. Brunelleschi, Donatello, kissing with tongue, not showering, making gold things. Ghiberti making some really cool shit, you know? I don't have time to go into it, but he's pretty cool. 1417. Brunelleschi is offered a commission for the Santa Maria del Fiore. How'd you like the accent on that one? I'll be referring to this as the Florence Cathedral from now on, because we all heard what I just said. At the time, the Florence Cathedral didn't have a dome. No fucking dome for Florence. Please insert the so no head joke right here. So 2 years pass after he's offered this commission, and then Brunelleschi's like, okay, fine. You guys want me so bad. Okay, I'll do it. And then he leaves again, and then doesn't come back until a year later. I don't know. That was a weird part of my research. He just, like, dipped out for another year after being like, yas. So, couldn't tell you what he was up to. Then Brunelleschi shows up and is like, okay, here's my scheme, here's my plan. I'm gonna put a dome on top of the cathedral. And everyone's like, you're insane, actually. That's not going to happen. So apparently, to prove everyone wrong, Brunelleschi was like, check this shit out. Takes an egg and is like, okay, crush this egg for me. And they crush the egg, you know, you crush it like sideways. And he's like, okay, yeah, that's not how you build a fucking dome, is it? And then he's like, tries to crush the egg the long way, and you can't do it. I don't really know what this proves, because you can't make a dome out of egg. I don't know. I don't really know what he was trying to do there. So he comes up with his plans, and they're finally like, okay, we believe you. But we do have a surprise for you. We want to give you a little gift. It's a co-architect, and his name is Lorenzo Ghiberti. Brunelleschi's not happy about this, right? As you can imagine. Now, in my research, apparently they had to literally be paid to be in the same room. Like, they hated each other so much. It seems to be that there was a lot of payment drama. Like, one was getting paid more than the other, but then their payments got switched around. Too many numbers for my little pea brain to figure out. There was also a bunch of big deals about architecture, like the way they wanted to build it and the plans and all that stuff. Brunelleschi would make his plans, right? Make the blueprints, all that, memorize them, and then burn them so Ghiberti wasn't able to know what he was building. Which, if you ask me, it's kind of iconic. That's kind of a power, that's a power move. That is a power move if I've ever heard one, and I kind of respect it. I'm not really Team Brunelleschi, but I might be Team Brunelleschi, because that's the funniest thing anyone's ever done, actually. A citation that I found, which I thought was very funny, I'm going to read to you. This was talking about Ghiberti's autobiography, which I wasn't able to read because they won't let me access the information. Thanks, Princeton University. You bitches, let me in your library, even though I don't go there. Someone was talking about his autobiography, And the citation then reads, I meant footnote. The footnote then reads, Ghiberti closed his autobiography with the statement that for 18 years he had cooperated with Brunelleschi on the Dome, at an equal salary. This is obscure as to 18 years, incorrect as to equal salary, and most debatable as to cooperating. So that was the vibes. They weren't having a good time. In 1423, right, so it's now been 3 years of these two working, cooperating together. Brunelleschi had designed this idea for a wooden chain of wooden beams. It was like a zipper pattern. It's a tension thing. It holds up the dome, like the dome holds itself up kind of situation. But it was really specific, obviously, because that's like you're holding the dome up. It has to be a very specific way. And there were a ton of arguments on how to do this, all that kind of stuff. When they were supposed to start building that, Brunelleschi was like, "Oh, doth a fever strike my immune system? I cannot work, Ghiberti. You have to take these blueprints and go ahead, build the, they keep calling it the chain. He's like, go build the chain, right? And poor Ghiberti, who's only ever gotten verbal information, basically, because Brunelleschi kept burning the blueprints, was like, I don't think this is the right one. What do you mean? We didn't talk about this one. That doesn't look good. He then gives it to the workers, and the workers are like, fuck you, dude. I'm not building that. That's not gonna work. He's like, I don't know, man. These are the blueprints that I was given. What do you literally want from me? Like, my coworker is psycho. The day that this chain was built, Brunelleschi is miraculously completely better. And he waltzes on in. It's like, this looks like shit. This looks terrible. We have to take this down. It's not going to work. Guys, what? Can you believe Ghiberti's behavior? And the fact that he even thinks this could work? That's insane. He tries to then get Ghiberti fired. Ghiberti then is technically paid until 1426, but all the records seem to show that he would show up for like an hour a day. After this situation, he tapped out. After 1426, he was done for, right? Now, I would like to conclude this saga of beef with the funniest piece of information that I found from this. Ghiberti had an assistant. He apparently hated Brunelleschi with a burning passion, so much so that he wrote this sonnet and sent it to Brunelleschi. Oh, you deep fountain, pit of This is going to be difficult. Oh, you deep fountain, pit of ignorance, you miserable beast and imbecile, who thinks uncertain things can be made visible. There is no substance to your alchemy. The fickle mob, eternally deceived in all its hope, may still believe in you, but never will you, worthless nobody, make that come true which is impossible. So if the Belladon, your water bird, were ever finished, which can never be, I would no longer read on Dante at school, but finish existence with my hand. For surely you are mad. You hardly know your own profession. Leave us, please, alone. Now, in case you want a translation of that, the short and sweet of it is, I hate your guts, you're stupid, and if you succeed, I'm going to kill myself. With that, in 1436, the dome was completed, credited pretty much completely to Brunelleschi. There was a lantern that was placed on top, which was done after Brunelleschi's death. Even after Brunelleschi's death, Ghiberti hated his guts, and I'm sure the feeling was mutual. Thank you so much for watching the first episode of our Histor-Tea. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you had a good time. Remember, this was a story. This was not fact entirely. I just thought it was a very good time, and it was very Renaissance and very dramatic. And just the things that went into building this very beautiful and very incredible structure, I think, are just something it's necessary, because people are silly. Yeah, if you liked this, I don't know, let me know. I don't know. Do whatever you want. You live your dream. Say your piece. I will maybe have more about this. I'm thinking the next video will be on the Mona Lisa, because I have thoughts and opinions on the Mona Lisa. We'll get around to that eventually. So, yeah, thanks for checking it out. Stay slay. Get away from me. Okay.